Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Saturday morning the 9th of August. In this video we're going to Nova Scotia to the case of missing siblings 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan from Lansdowne Station. Now some of you will have seen this article if you've been following this case closely, and honestly I don't know what to make of it. This new piece in the Globe and Mail. Picture emerges of missing children's lives, but not their fate. Months later, there are still few answers about what happened to Jack and Lily Sullivan, but trauma and stigma have left the families and the community farther apart. The reason why I'm not sure what to make of it is because there's some things here that we've never heard before, and it's not clear who or where the sources originate from. I'm not going to read it all word for word. I'm going to concentrate on some of the pieces that I don't know what to make of it. So I want you to tell me in the comments what you make of it. Now I'll put a link to this in the description box so you can read the article in full if you would like to. It will want you to pay, but you don't need to. You can get this free. At least I got this free. Right? It wants you to sign up. It should be $7.99 and apparently it's only 99 cents a week to subscribe. All you have to do is put an email address in. You don't even have to confirm your email address. And I got it free, so I didn't have to subscribe to anything. But that's what we're going to do. Let's go. Before we get into this article, can I just ask, please subscribe if you've not already done so. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's a goal for any YouTuber to get to 100,000 subscribers because YouTube sends you a silver YouTube play button plaque to put on your wall. So I know a bunch of people watch my videos who are not subscribed, but please subscribe. It's totally free. It's not memberships where you click on join and pay a fee. It's completely free. Alright, without further ado, deep in the middle of Nova Scotia, far from its quaint and coastal town, sits Lansdowne, a hamlet of about 100 people in a cellular dead zone, surrounded by endless spruce forests, bushes like razor wire, and bogs that breed swarms of black flies. Most people here live a quiet rural existence in secluded homes scattered along backcountry roads that only the locals know, where chickens and large dogs roam free, and the rusted skeletons of old vehicles sit marooned in the dirt. Much like American Appalachia, this once prosperous corner of Pictou County is now economically stagnant. 1 in 5 children lives in poverty, higher than most of the counties in the province. It's here where the lives of Lily and Jack Sullivan were implanted 2 years ago to a rundown trailer set back from Highway 289 with their pregnant mother and stepfather. They needed a place to live, and their step-grandmother, who owns the home, welcomed them to live with her. But it was too noisy for her, so she went to live in the camper in the yard. Life for Lily 6 and Jack 4 inside the cluttered trailer of Lansdowne was chaotic. There were holes in the floor of the front stoop, tarps to protect the underside of the trailer from the elements, and so much racket from the lively children that their step-grandmother soon retreated to a camper in the driveway. This is the first thing that I want to question. How do they know that there was tarps protecting the underside of the trailer? How do they know that? Like, where have they got that information from? Daniel Martell, 34, with pale eyes and ropey arms, worked at a local mill. Their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, stayed home with baby Meadow. Inside the mobile home, a large wood stove filled most of the living room. The kids' artwork was pasted on the kitchen wall next to the sliding patio door that led to a yard where they spent hours playing next to the chicken coop. Well, yeah, but if you listen to Malaya and Daniel, they never went out there on their own, did they? But Malaya then says, yeah, they did a couple of times, and Janie would ring and say the kids are outside, and she'd get up and make their breakfast. Daniel said that they always leave the door open, so we know that they did go out there playing by themselves, and not a big deal. You know, if the yard was totally fenced in, if there weren't holes in the fence, then it would have been fine. They could play out there. Let's move us on a little bit here. Most days, Jack and Lily hopped on the bus to attend Salt Springs Elementary, a rural school about 20 minutes' ride from their home. Jack, smaller than his peers, was strapped in at the front of the bus next to his sister. The morning the children were reported missing, the big yellow school bus rolled past the mobile home without stopping for a second day in a row. Jack and Lily were usually standing by the side of the road waiting to be picked up. But earlier that morning of May 2nd, their mother had marked them absent from school around 6:15. It was 6:17 and 6:18 to be precise. Both parents have said it was because Lily had a cough. However, was it really because Lily had a black eye and they did not want CPS to call again? Just my speculation. We know from Daniel that Lily got a black eye on the Wednesday. Supposedly, a Tonka truck hit her in the face while she was playing. We don't know whether that's true or not, though. Said they heard the children playing in the next room while they dozed in the bedroom with their toddler. Daniel said he saw Lily pop in and out a few times. At around 9:40, the couple says they awoke and realised the kids were gone. They were outside playing, but we weren't aware of that at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet, she told CTV. We get up, I tell my partner Daniel, do you hear the kids? And he said no. Instantly, we were looking outside, we were looking everywhere, yelling for them. Janie, Daniel's mother, backed up that story and said she heard them shouting, and then Daniel was out looking and Malaya was just standing there with Meadow on her hip looking suspicious. That's Belinda, Lily and Jack's paternal grandmother. That's Malaya's dad. Malaya called 911 around 10 a.m. as we know. Daniel supposedly went to look. Police arrived. Hours later, still no sign of the children. Malaya floated the idea that Jack and Lily had been abducted. Many have suspected they were picked up by somebody, she texted Belinda, cause there's no trace of them or Lily's backpack. Daniel, meanwhile, was tearing through the woods on foot, wading in streams, telling people he was moving faster than the police helicopters. That day, carloads of family members pulled up to help search. In the mid-afternoon, a non-encrypted radio channel crackled with voices of emergency responders. Family brought us to a location there not far away. There's a piece of blanket which the mother says belongs to her daughter. Okay. Emergency responders dispatch a canine unit to the site, where they seize Lily's pink blanket torn and wound around the lower branches of a spruce. It was about 1 kilometre away from a mobile home, so 0.6 miles, off a gravel Lansdowne road where Daniel's father and uncle live. The road runs deep into the backcountry, connecting with dirt roads that snake further into the wilderness, to remote lakes, backwood dumps, and clear-cut tracts of land. When a police officer asked Daniel about the pink blanket, he said it wasn't Lily's at first. Police began pounding on doors in the early hours of the next morning. They came to the door of Daniel's father, Earl Martell, a retired tyre plant worker who lives atop a hill in a bungalow he built himself 40 years ago. Officers peered with flashlights into the corners of the living room, jumbled with craft supplies and Hot Wheels of Daniel's 2 young school-aged biological children who often visit on weekends. Well, not anymore. Daniel says he's not allowed to see the kids. I mean, do they visit Earl? I don't know. Earl guided police into the yard to old campers and a derelict log cabin filled with junk, and to Daniel's older model black sedan in need of repairs he couldn't afford. So where have they got these pictures from? Like, have they actually done an interview with Earl? Because if they have, it's the first interview with Earl. Police banged on the door of the home of Belinda, and she did talk about that on her interview with CBC. They were looking to talk to her son, who had been living there for the last 9 months after losing his roofing job. But Cody Sullivan hadn't seen Jack and Lily since he and Malaya separated 3 years ago. He cut ties. Through the night, search and rescue volunteers combed the woods. Didn't find them. Next morning, Belinda set out to help search for her grandchildren. Malaya had distanced herself from Belinda. She'd stopped bringing the children to visit, later explained that Daniel was jealous and didn't want her going there or giving out the address. The grandmother said she had never been invited to the house. Until she showed up to help in the search, Belinda didn't know that was the home her grandchildren were living in, a home she'd noticed multiple times on her way while driving to Halifax. Wow, she says she thought. as she stepped inside to speak to Malaya. Everything she saw, from the junk-strewn yard to the cluttered kitchen, was a total opposite of the neat and tidy woman she used to know. Even though she'd heard it once before, she needed to hear it again. What happened? Malaya opened the low, rumbling, sliding patio door in the kitchen, demonstrating how she assumed the children quickly left the home while she and Daniel were sleeping. Well, Malaya, Belinda recalls saying, "You're the mom. You know these kids better than anyone. Where do you feel they would go? What would take their interest? What direction would they go?" She didn't know. All right, now here's the things that I want to get into. There is, however, at least one account of strange activity at the mobile home that night. So that would be the 1st into the 2nd. RCMP spokesperson Corporal Colin McCann confirmed that police received a tip on May the 8th from someone who described hearing a vehicle come and go from the mobile home throughout the night before the children were reported missing. Investigators are continuing to review and assess more than 600 tips from the public and follow up on over 800 tasks, she wrote in an email. So, as Colin McCann actually said this, like, who are the sources here? So the neighbour spoke to the Globe and said they were working on a vehicle in their own yard when they heard the same loud 5-speed car come and go from the trailer about 6 times from midnight to 5 a.m. So was this neighbour working on their car, like in the middle of the night, in their own yard? Or were they working on the car when they spoke to the Globe? But they're not going to name the neighbour because of fear of reprisal. So police have said they plan to search more of these old mine shafts where someone was found 19 years earlier. When have they said that? Daniel initially told the police and the Globe on May 5th that the pink blanket found in the woods did not belong to Lily. He later changed his story. In a subsequent interview, he suggested the blanket was planted, taken from his week-old garbage. He also claimed 2 of his sweaters mysteriously disappeared, so we know that. Behind the scenes, people concerned for the children's welfare had already raised red flags. A child protection supervisor in the nearby town of New Glasgow rushed to prepare a memo for Deputy Minister Craig Beaton about Jack and Lily on the day the children disappeared, according to redacted briefing notes obtained by the Globe through Freedom of Information legislation. Really? Well, release it then. Show us. 2 weeks later, in mid-May, another memo about the children was prepared for senior staff in the province's Child Welfare Department. Opportunities and Social Development Minister Scott Armstrong also told the Globe he asked for more information about his department's interaction with the children and has so far declined to discuss how the government responded to concerns about Jack and Lily's well-being prior to their disappearance. What is known about Jack and Lily's interaction with child welfare authorities is that a social worker came to the trailer over concerns raised by the school several months before to assess their home life. Teachers and other professionals who work with children have a legal duty to report if they have a reasonable grounds to suspect a child has, may have been, or is about to suffer abuse, and home visits occur when there's reason to be concerned about a child's safety and care. Daniel, however, told the Globe the visit was related to kids' learning difficulties at school. He said the children were suspected of having autism and were scheduled to see a doctor the same month they vanished. He declined to answer further questions about the involvement of child protection staff. That's the school. From the outside, there were signs the children's home life was strained. They were developmentally behind other children and arrived at school grubby and without appropriate winter clothing, prompting staff to provide it for them. So being developmentally delayed doesn't mean necessarily that they're being neglected, but without appropriate winter clothing in that location, that's a bit scary. According to a school board employee with direct knowledge. So who are all these people who are speaking to the Globe? Globe is not identifying the source because they're not authorised to disclose details about students. So people are leaking information from the school and from CPS here? Okay. Last December, Jack came to school with a black eye, according to a photo of him posted by his elementary school. The photo of the class trip on December 13, 2024, 5 months before he and his sister disappeared, show him sitting next to other students in the forest with a green and purple bruise below his eye. Another photo shows a possible black eye and bruising on Jack's face in a photo taken in September 2024, an injury that Daniel defended on social media, saying it was caused by Lily. Daniel did not respond to questions asking how Jack received the black eye in December, but in private Facebook messages, which were shared with the Globe, he acknowledged Jack had many black eyes. So there's one where Jack clearly has a black eye. Like, it looks like it's clearing up. Like, the bruise has gone yellow. And then we know he said Lilly had a black eye when the children went missing. She got it on the Wednesday. The family was under pressure. A confluence of financial woes left the couple turning to relatives for help. Like many lower-tier workers at the mill, Daniel had been cut back to one shift a week in the spring thaw because of an annual ban on heavy logging trucks on soggy local roads. His car off the road because it needed repairs he couldn't afford, wasn't drivable, and he had to rely on his uncle, who worked at the mill, to take him to work, or Malaya, whose maternal grandmother had helped her recently buy a white Nissan SUV. Daniel's father, Earl, said he bought the couple groceries and gas. He provided firewood to heat their home. Daniel, however, denied having money problems. He has claimed to friends that he was getting into investing and turning his life around after a divorce. Getting into investing? Okay. Other means of cash flow had been cut off. In recent months, child support payments from Jack and Lily's biological father had stopped after he lost his job. Malaya's monthly Canada child benefit check, or baby bonus, which under federal guidelines would be around $1,900 per month, was halted because Daniel hadn't filed his taxes, which were due by April 30th. The struggles didn't end there. Malaya described Daniel as controlling. She said she had wanted out, writing a message to Belinda on June 15th. I never wanted to stay there. Belinda wrote back saying she wished Malaya would have reached out. We would have done what we could to help. I know Malaya said my mum is saying the same thing. Cindy, Malaya's mother, declined to be interviewed. Malaya also confided in her paternal grandmother, Connie Brooks. She described how Daniel would hold her down and take her phone. He was having her, I don't know what you would call it, scared. She couldn't go anywhere or do anything, Connie said. That's what she told me, and that's what I've told detectives. When she asked her grandmother about drug use in the home, she said Malaya told her Daniel concealed a drug habit for nearly the first year of their relationship. Daniel didn't respond to questions about these allegations, but he insisted on an interview with the Globe he had never struggled with drugs and does not have a drug problem. Despite that, he has admitted to taking meth, pretty much everything. Okay. He said he recently started attending Narcotics Anonymous. Well, you don't start attending a group if you don't have a problem. So he's taken online courses in anger management, depression, parenting, child protection, substance abuse, suicide, and violent behaviour that are recognised by child protection officials. I have to clear my name for CPS. It's the best to do that. So there's Henry, that's Malaya's dad, and Malaya's paternal grandmother. So what do you make of this? I just want to know where they get this information from. There's a bunch more stuff in here. Right, in interview with Henry Brooks, last time he spoke with the children, Jack told him he loved him. It's weighing heavy on me, he said, really heavy. I'm not saying that this article's lying in any way. I'm just saying it's interesting how they've managed to get all these interviews, right, for the first time. In hindsight, so I would have pushed harder to see the kids, to see Lily on her birthday in March. Looking at photos from the children of the past 2 years, she noted they looked thin, possibly malnourished, with dry, cracked lips. Something she said she might have picked up on had she seen them in person. Makes her wonder about other adults in their life. She recently learned others had concerns about the children's safety in the home. She also wanted to know what child protection social workers knew prior to Jack and Lily's disappearance, whether they suspected the children were abused, and what was being done about it. I hate to say it, but every one of us failed them, Belinda said. We all failed these kids. What do you think? I don't know what to think. I'm not saying they're lying in any way. If this is all true, this is damning. This is really damning. Let me know. I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye, guys. Cassie, wait. Good girl.